Some people might not like the use of the word crazy, but that's exactly how I hear women describing perimenopause. And that's exactly the word that came to my mind when I was feeling it myself. So I'm using the word crazy, no apologies. If that rubs you too wrong, then I'm not for you. I felt like I was going crazy, and I hear other women saying the same exact thing. So if you felt that way or you feel that way now, I'm here for you. Welcome to the Women Rockin' Midlife Podcast, soulful wellness to elevate your second act. You deserve to deeply love every moment of your life, living your best life with pure joy, optimal health and abundance, with the energy, time, and inner peace to savor experiences with your loved ones and with yourself. Hi, I'm Jen Kunkel. Join me on this soulful journey to complete wellness in midlife and beyond. At some point in my 40s, I noticed something changing. At the time, I didn't relate it to menopause or even aging or anything like that. I really didn't know what was going on. Looking back, I know that sometimes I wondered if I was actually losing my mind. I literally thought the words in my head, am I going crazy? And I've heard other women say the same exact thing. At the time, I would find myself having these weird, wild thoughts, questioning the meaning of life, pondering my life choices, although that's not the first time that's happened, in the direction that I was going with my life. I've been there before too, in my late 20s when I was married and decided to get divorced. But anyway, during this period of time, in my late 40s, right around 50, I ended up having 2 panic attacks in a very short period of time. And that had never happened before. I've had issues in the past with depression, and I was super shy. I had low self-worth, but I never really related to the words anxiety, and I definitely never had these panic attacks before. Well, now I know that during perimenopause, hormonal changes can actually cause a lot of emotional instability. But at the time, I had no idea. I didn't have a clue. I did not even know that was a thing. And thankfully, women are talking about it more now than they were then. And that was only like 5 years ago or so. 5 to 7 years ago or something like that. So that's why I do what I do. Women need to know about this. I don't want you to think you're actually losing your mind, because you're not. So perimenopause, if you haven't heard of it, if you're not familiar with it, it's the time before you've gone 12 consecutive months without a period. It seems like there's a lot of misconceptions, and of course I've done a lot of research on this, and I've seen what people are saying, and I've looked up the official definition. So the official meaning of menopause, I use it kind of as a blanket term, from perimenopause to post-menopause, which is basically once you start entering menopause to the rest of your life. So menopause is actually one moment in time when you have gone 12 consecutive months without a period. And perimenopause is all the time before that, as you start noticing these changes, right? And then post-menopause, like I said, that's the rest of your life after that point, when you've made 12 consecutive months without a period. I actually didn't hit that 12 consecutive months. It didn't hit official menopause until maybe, I don't remember exactly because I wasn't totally counting, but I'm going to say around 52, 53, something like that, and I'm 55 right now, almost 56. So you're not going crazy. You're going through basically a second puberty. Menopause isn't an ending, though. It's a metamorphosis into a beautiful, powerful butterfly. And during this time, from perimenopause to postmenopause, or forever, you can experience mood swings, irritability, depression, anxiety, hot flashes, weight gain, joint pain, inflammation. You know all of those things, right? So I've talked to people who have told me their stories, right? And I can relate to them, and I bet you can too. For example, one woman that I talked to was talking about dragging herself out of bed just to get through a few hours of things that she had to do that day with a forced smile plastered to her face, and only to just not be able to wait to get back home and get back to bed as soon as she could. Well, I've been there too. I dreaded my day, and I couldn't see myself feeling different ever again. But I did. It was totally different. I've totally done a 180. I could think of days where I woke up not excited about my day at all, wishing that I didn't have anything to do, and just feeling so unhealthy and unwell, and physically and emotionally, both. I have days now where everything is irritating, and I feel like I hate people, but I don't. It's just those momentary things. Maybe when I get out of my habits, I have those kind of days every once in a while, but I was having them all the time back then. And like I said, I had 2 anxiety or panic attacks when I was in perimenopause. I was putting away groceries, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just felt the world spinning around me. I felt like I couldn't catch my breath, or maybe I was hyperventilating. It's been so long now, I don't actually remember exactly what happened, but I do remember very vividly that feeling of being frozen and the world just feeling like it's spinning around out of control. And it was like I just didn't know what to do next. And I was like, whoa, I'm having a panic attack. Am I having a panic attack? That's never happened before. And I do have like meditation and similar practices that I've been doing for so long that I was actually able to ground myself fairly quickly when that happened. And I thought it was weird, but I didn't think too much of it. I wasn't too worried, but in the back of my head, I was like, what was that about? That was really strange. And then it happened again, not too long later. And I was like, okay, something's up here. So I used these practices that I have known for, since maybe I was like in my 20s. I started meditating, and I learned more and more and more over the years. So I started using these practices and getting back into the habit, because at the time I was not doing it regularly, but I started doing it regularly, and no more panic attacks, never happened again. I know I've been talking with friends, I'm at lunch with a friend or dinner, or we're just hanging out or whatever, and all of a sudden they're talking and they're just like pouring with sweat suddenly, very suddenly. This was before I knew anything about menopause. And they're having a hot flash, and they just keep going without skipping a beat. Now, I've kept hot flashes at bay with these mindfulness type practices, and I do know that I get them like a warm flash sometimes when I drink red wine or things like that. But I really, unfortunately, I have not had the hot flashes like that. And I do believe that it's due to the mindfulness practices that I've been using very regularly ever since that perimenopause stuff was going on. Especially when I realized that's really what it was. The hot flashes, there's a little meme or a quote that I saw: when I asked for a smoking hot bod, that was not what I had in mind, right? So I'm sure you can relate to that. Now, let's talk about what causes this, right? What causes the hot flashes and all these symptoms that we're experiencing? Because a lot of people look at menopause like it's a disease that has to be cured or something, that has to be treated. But it's actually a really natural part of life. And what's going on is you're experiencing these symptoms because your hormone levels are fluctuating. Your estrogen drops. It doesn't happen all at once, and it isn't like a complete drop, okay? It's actually fluctuating. It's going to go up and down over time, especially in perimenopause when you're making this transition. So that is, your hormones affect your emotion, your mood, your emotional stability, your Even some of the thoughts that you're having, your hormones can affect. It affects your physical body, of course, the weight gain that can happen, that inflammation, the joint pain, the swelling, the hot flashes, of course, night sweats, the insomnia, all of that stuff is affected by your hormones. So it kind of seems normal to question our sanity at a time when our bodies are going through such changes. Our bodies and our minds are kind of getting these signals that don't feel like we felt for the past, 20, 30 years. And now all of a sudden we're having these feelings. Think about puberty, right? I mentioned a second, puberty. If you think about when you're in your teenagers, you probably got a little crazy during that time too, right? The question now is, are we becoming who we were before puberty or someone new? It doesn't really matter. It's just that we're becoming something a little bit different than we've been for the past 30 years. So instead of trying to force ourselves back into that box of who we've been since the first puberty, just embrace this change that we're becoming this new version of ourselves. So you can almost look at it like we have thirds of our life, right? The first third when you're a kid, and then you start to transition through puberty into an adult and adulthood, and you think that's it, right? Kid to adult. But that's not it. Now we have this third transition, and it doesn't have to mean that, now we're old and we're obsolete and we're irrelevant and all of that. That's not it at all. And that, in fact, that is exactly why I do what I do, because I really believe that we still have so much to offer. We still have so much to offer. We still have so much to give. And we don't have to feel like we're losing our mind. We don't have to feel crazy. And we certainly don't have to feel alone or insignificant or obsolete. We're not becoming obsolete. We are becoming this different version of ourselves that has this new wisdom, right? So here's another quote that I saw that I want to share with you. And I love it because it just sums it up. Amid this change, we find our true selves. So embrace the woman that you're becoming during menopause. And it was attributed to Anonymous. But yeah, it's a time where we actually can find our true selves again. I saw something else about that. It's like we're going back to what we were before we had puberty, before we were in these years of reproductive fertility or whatever. I don't really think that's the case. I don't think we're going back to who we were as a kid. I mean, maybe early childhood when our true selves was not influenced by the conditioning of societal norms and our family norms, but we have this opportunity to really find our true selves and embrace our true selves. So remember, it's not about maintaining the same lifestyle you've always had. It's about creating this next chapter of your life as an exciting adventure that honors you and your wisdom and who you're becoming. You can do that with optimal health and well-being also. It doesn't mean you're like this old fragile person. So connect with me to find out more about how I can help you embrace the woman you're becoming and blossom into that beautiful butterfly. I have a new program called Hormonal Harmony Quest, and I've decided to offer it as this, it's an initial in-depth, and then it turns into a monthly program where we go even deeper. And so the first part is where we identify your triggers. We recalibrate your emotional set point and your vibrational set point. And then the third phase is where we cultivate daily habits and maintain that high vibration and that more stable emotional set point. And then it goes into phase 4, which is a monthly membership where we get into things like nutrition, weight loss, fitness, and other things that can help maintain your hormonal balance. Because like I said, menopause isn't just, the actual literal definition of menopause is that one point in your life. But perimenopause through post-menopause actually lasts for, once it starts, it's the rest of your life. So you want to have ways to maintain that balance for the rest of your life. And I really put an emphasis on self-worth and creating your life as an adventure. So if you want to explore that with me, it's not for everyone, and I get that, and I'm so no pressure. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If I see that I think it's not for you, I'm going to tell you that, okay? So I'm not the kind of person that's trying to sell you something. So anyway, links are in the show notes. Several ways to connect with me, ways to talk about whether that hormonal harmony quest is a good fit for you. And I also have a few free resources that you can check out first if you'd like, and those are high value to support you on your journey. And I'm actually ramping up the value of those free resources as we speak. So get connected with me and see what's coming out soon. If you're watching this right when I'm recording it, I'm ramping everything up, high value free stuff. So make sure you connect with me. Until next time, let's rock this midlife thing together.